Welcome to this lecture on culturally responsive leadership. The outcomes for this module are address individual and institutional biases through tiered interventions, supports, and programming for underserved populations. Apply culturally responsive principles to leadership practices. The important questions that guide our learning are: how might school communities adjust to the changing needs of its stakeholders? What opportunities are available for culturally responsive leadership? What are the implications of faith commitments and/or worldviews? What is culturally responsive? Because of the plethora of related terms, it is sometimes hard to get a firm hold on what culturally responsive encompasses. In education literature, terms such as culturally responsive, culturally relevant, and cultural competence are often used interchangeably, although the latter is used more often in relation to social work and medical care. While they are somewhat different in meaning, they convey the same message. If educators are to be effective with students of diverse backgrounds, they must be knowledgeable about and attend to their students' backgrounds, cultures, and experiences, and know how to incorporate them into their curriculum and pedagogy. Culturally responsive focuses on a teacher's ability to behave in ways that respect and honor students' cultures and experiences. Culturally relevant generally refers to how the curriculum and pedagogy enacted by the teacher are meaningful for their students. Cultural competence refers to a teacher's knowledge about their students' cultures and experiences. Educational leaders need to be prepared for culturally responsive teaching initiatives. Regardless of demographics, leadership encompasses the dynamic dialogue from the classroom to the broader spectrum of cultural competence. Generally speaking, cultural competence is the ability to recognize differences based on culture, language, race, ethnicity, and other aspects of individual identity, and to respond to those differences positively and constructively. As educators, we teach who we are and how we were taught. We hold the power to create equitable learning environments. School norms are primarily taught from a Northern European cultural perspective. Working only in one cultural norm privileges some and underserves others. The social-political context of schooling recognizes the relationship between the kinds of inequities that plague our schools and larger societal inequities, acknowledges that even when we don't see, hear, or feel those larger conditions as part of our purview, they are still at play. What can I do? Is a valid question that does not need to be overwhelming. As educational leaders, you can use your own unique insights, your own knowledge about students and families, and your own expertise with school and classroom dynamics to promote educational equity. Understanding cultural frameworks helps reduce the educational inequities. Human relationships are embedded in culture. Cultural frameworks, also known as worldviews, are the underlying tenets of assumptions, beliefs, and values that influence our behavior in everyday life. Much of this is unconscious until we bump up against someone that is based in a very different underlying cultural framework. Applying a cultural lens to interact more inclusively across cultural frameworks helps make possible the diversity of cultural strengths to enhance relationships with all. You do not need to know every culture thoroughly. Intentionality about cultural responsiveness develops through efforts over time. Tips for educational equity leadership include: know who your students and families are. Have frank, hard dialogue about the climate for underserved students with a goal of effecting a paradigm shift in language and actions. Invest in culturally competent practices that lead to the success of underserved students and of all students. Set and monitor equity-minded goals and allocate aligned resources to achieve them. Develop and actively pursue a clear vision with goals for achieving high-quality learning. Culturally responsive leadership is thorough and ongoing.